Welcome, Ghosts, back to Bullet Catcher Gaming. It's been a little while, but we're back and we've got more videos to come, so keep an eye out for those. As many of you may be aware, and a few people have called me out on this in the past, I have, whether it be surveys or videos, asked the question, should a third-person view be an option in the next Ghost Recon game? And I've asked it more than once. Well, apologies to those few, but I feel the need to bring this up once again. Now, the reasons for this are simple. The most recent leaks on the next game, obviously codename Project Over, have stated first person is the only perspective available. Now, they also reportedly saw gameplay footage with their own eyes. The leaker has a reputation for being correct the majority of the time. So let's say for the moment that FPS is indeed factual and there is no third person. Now, does that mean that there isn't one as well as? No, it doesn't. But it's odd that it wasn't mentioned anywhere in these leaks whatsoever. Many people online are speculating that the game will be first person and with no mention of third. Now, the reaction to this in comment sections all across, different platforms online were very much kind of proclaiming that if it's first person only, they won't buy it, and I, for one, can't blame them. Now, other YouTube channels such as good friends of mine, G Money, and say A Squad Gaming, I've seen videos that they've made regards to this in the past. I've seen what their communities say and others, and overall, the majority of people seem to be saying that if third's not there, they're really not going to be happy with this. So I thought we'd kind of have a little deeper look into why third person should be in the game. Now, let me make myself clear immediately on this. I like FPS games. The original Modern Warfare 2 remains one of my favourite games of all time, and there's a plethora of FPS games I love, including, say, like Battlefield 4. I really enjoy Bad Company 1 and 2. That's just to name a few. But this is not are third-person games better than first debate. This is a Ghost Recon must-have third-person perspective as well as debate. It's also about listening to community feedback, respecting your customer base, and also what is best for the new title and Ghost Recon in general. Now, no debate or discussion would even be required, and especially this video, if it was confirmed or even leaked, I think, that both a third and first would be available in Over. Nobody would be complaining because in any Ghost Recon game, choice is king. The more options you've got, the better game that you probably will have. Now, its appeal to both sets of players who enjoy one over the other would also most probably grow if you had third and first options. Many other titles have done it in the past, so for me, it would be madness for Ubisoft to leave, well, either one out really, but it sounds like third is the one being left out. Now, before I get into what could possibly end up as a mini rant on why it shouldn't be left out, I can understand why some Ghost Recon players would like to see a return to FPS. The roots of the franchise were, of course, built with an FPS view, the original Ghost Recon and its expansions, before follow-on titles obviously went third person over the shoulder, adding new mechanics like stealth and open world as it evolved. Though we did get an FPS view added in Advanced Warfighter on PC and PS2, then PC only in GRAW 2. Now let me confirm once again, I'm not saying first person should not be in the game. It should, but alongside the third person, so we can choose between the two. The game should be built in a third person perspective to achieve the best camera motions, and first person built off of that and not the other way round, as adding third person to an FPS can be clunky as hell. I mean, just look at Call of Duty's recent attempts. Now, we've seen the fantastic jobs modders have done adding first person to both Breakpoint and Wildlands, so that tells us that Ubi should have zero issues if they build in third and add first as an alternate option. We know Ubisoft can make amazing games. They have made some incredible games over the year, and especially some of the Ghost Recon titles. It's why we love the franchise. Ghost Recon's legacy is long, obviously stretching nearly a quarter of a century. It's had highs and lows like most franchises, but many would agree that it's Wildlands that really caught the gamer's imagination of what Ghost Recon should and could be in the future. It was also by far the biggest selling game in the franchise's history, selling around 16 million copies. This fact cannot be ignored. Many gamers found that the franchise with Wildlands, built of course in third person, with Breakpoint following on from that, that's where they kind of came into it. That's where they discovered it. They would also notice that most of the previous titles before that were also in that perspective, and maybe dip their toes into some of them as well. You know, there's some really good titles, especially in the few years leading up to Wildlands. Now, whether you were a fan before or after Wildlands, third person is now something expected for a large majority of you going forward in a new game. Our surveys prove how many people want third person. One of the biggest frontline complaints when that was announced, that it was first person only. If you don't believe me, just check out the comments in the trailer for confirmation of that. But we'll come back to frontline in just a second. Now, we don't know the reasons why they've chosen to, go with first person for Project Ova. It could be that it's quicker to build for, financial reasons, they feel it's more immersive perhaps. It could be that the devs that's their preferred perspective and that they enjoy playing, or it could just be trend chasing tactics again. Whatever the reason is a bad decision, and one for me that sticks a finger up at the vast majority of the community who keeps this franchise relevant. Now, if I'm being very kind for now, I'm going to go with the fact that they presume that they feel that this FPS will probably work better and fit its narrative. It's just a better fit for them, but that's me being kind. That's the reason why I hope they chose it. FPS does offer you that unique position of looking through the character's eyes and arguably makes it easier to aim, interact with objects, and giving you an overall sense that you are in the world you are playing in, that you are the character on that mission. There are major downsides though. Not being able to see your character is huge in a game series famous for customizing your operator. And it's one of the most important aspects in the game according to our surveys. People want deeper customization down to the minutest detail, not removing it. To me, this is like Ubisoft making the next Minecraft game and saying no one cares about crafting, leave it out. That's how ridiculous it is not to have third-person customization. Let's not also forget the types of actions that your character can perform is severely limited in first person. And that's also another issue when you are supposed to be a Special Forces operator. Third person, on the other hand, instantly gives you a superior connection to your character as they're on screen throughout every engagement, letting you play as that character more as opposed to trying to be them. Customization, of course, is far superior in third person, but it's watching your character go through all of the motions of combat that makes it feel more exhilarating. Just look at Helldivers 2, for example. That would not be the same experience in first person because you can literally see your character being swarmed from all sides, adding to the kind of fear factor and tension. Third, in general, also allows for, more cinematic events. And because the game is not hindered by one character's limited viewpoint, it gives a better overall perspective of what's going on. But it's movement that most benefits here in third person. A game where movement is so important. Combat roles, for example, can be seen and utilised wherever necessary, whereas in first it would just be ridiculous as a floating camera kind of falls to the floor, spins around and then randomly jumps back up in the air again. Anyway, like I said, this is not a knock to first person in any way. I'm trying to reiterate why Ghost Recon should always have a third person option at the very least. Now, it has indeed kind of been left out of the game, which appears so. A lot of people are going to be upset, and I include myself in that. It's what we're used to. It's also, one of the main identities now of the Ghost Recon franchise. It's a third-person tactical shooter in a market where there are virtually none to rival it. Leaving it out is like making an Assassin's Creed game in feudal Japan and then not having a Japanese samurai as the playable character. Oh, wait. Bad example. Okay, moving on. It's like having a Skull and Bones game where you discover that there are biker gangs instead of pirates on the ships. Makes zero sense. The same as Ghost Recon with no third person. Whereas there are FPS shooters aplenty, already meaning that there's a huge concern that this game gets lost into the mire of all other titles available out there. For years now, we were told that community is being listened to. They have the community charter up on the wall in their offices. Yet once again, a massive part of the community has just been ignored. The part of the community that buys all the cosmetics and weapons and DLCs, the committed customer, the hardcore dedicated fan of Ghost Recon. And I'm one of them. And yes, I bought Narco Road for my sins. Still to this day, I don't actually understand how that existed. Yet, at the same time, we got one of the greatest pieces of Ghost Recon content for years in Fallen Ghosts. It was made by the same people. That still confuses me. But anyway, I digress. Maybe we should ask the question, do they not want us anymore? Do they want a new audience? It kind of seems that way. But does that audience exist? They might sell a decent amount of copies if a good trailer drops, but will they support it for years like we do, through the current crop of titles? Where is the learning curve here? We know Disney and other such companies could care less about their customers, but I don't expect that with Ubisoft. With Breakpoint adding many mechanics that, either did not serve any purpose, here's looking at you survival mechanics, then gear score and raids and all the other nonsense that was added, moving, the game away from what made Wildlands near perfection. Follow that up with the nonsense of Frontline that tried to blend Rainbow Six and Black Ops 4 gameplay styles in an out-of-date battle royale format, and you have a game nobody wanted or asked for. Of course, as well, it was FPS. The trailer for Frontline literally went down like a lead balloon tied to a lead helicopter tied to a lead jumbo jet. We could see the trend chasing there, and it could be what we're going to see that again now. What we don't want, and I'm sure what Ubisoft don't want either, is to be left with one option after the release of the next game, spending ages creating replacement content to fix the game to supplant all the drivel nobody wanted, just like Breakpoint did. And Breakpoint turned out to be a really good game once they went in and fixed the stuff that nobody asked for. Throwing away new content, to use up time and resources to course correct bad decisions because they didn't listen to the community. I don't want to see them course correct again. I just want to see third and first available on day one of the game's release. Bring the hardcore fan base together along with new players that they are obviously caught in. And guess what? You'll sell a lot more copies. You'll make the franchise more viable, possibly ensuring that we get more Ghost Recon games in the future. Do not alienate the people who helped keep the franchise going. Anyway, that's kind of my rant over. I'm sorry. Let me know what you think about third person being included or not. Am I out of touch here? Like I said at the beginning, I've looked around other YouTubers making the same points over the last few months. Big names, A Squad, G Money, people like that. And most of their community are all aboard along with mine. But they want third person in there. And there may be a few people who say they just want first, but I also think those people would have no issues with them adding third as well. Am I alone in this opinion? You tell me. What's your opinion? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.